Hey, beautiful people, what's up? What's up? This is your girl, the Infinity Midwife, coming to you once again. So, I hope y'all are taking care of yourselves, y'all are healing yourselves, y'all are making space to express yourselves, whatever you're going through. I see you, and you're still loved. So, this is the Infinity Midwife with you guys, and there is another message to be delivered, and it's still regarding the pleasure principles because I feel like, there's always some things to be said, there's always some things to be exposed, there's always some things that we need to clear the air surrounding that subject. The reason why I feel like pleasure, or why I named that series Pleasure Principles, is because there has been so much rules, there has been so much um, you know structure and authority around how life can be pleasurable, basically. And again, if you've watched the previous videos, I dived a little deeper into how that separation from you know the masculine essence from the feminine essence created that sense of you know that sense of you know one being in bondage and the other being the other living in excess. And so we see that there has been a lot of damage through that era. Now, the reason why I'm coming back to that subject, it might be the last one that I do because I feel like I've dwelled on it long enough, but I do want to talk about other things. Now, what I'm going to be talking about right here is pleasure. Now, okay, I know a lot of people right now are going through really hard times, and that is because we are moving out of this old era into the new, and it requires us to look at all aspects of ourselves, to look at the deepest aspect of ourselves, and to really start assessing what was working back then is maybe is no longer working for me. I mean, in general, this is what I'm saying. Like, people are assessing their beliefs. People are confronted with their ways of doing things. People are confronted with their own memories of their childhood. People are confronted with the reality or the illusions that they've been living in. Like, everybody's going through this. 2022 is a very revealing year. To those that want to dive deeper, go ahead, do your research. I'm not here to provide facts. I'm not here to be a scientific. I'm here just to clear out the way. So, being in the year 2022, this is a very significant year because this year is about union. Okay, it's about blending, your humanity with your spirituality or your divinity. Okay, and so again, if we look at the separation between the feminine and the masculine, we see that the feminine has been demonized for so long, but what we forgot to see, or what has been hidden, is that she is part of divinity, right? We took away her sacredness, we demonized her, we put her in a box, we added so much things to how she needs to be expressed. And so her divinity got totally forgotten, or has been totally blocked. And so when we recognize that, that's the part of the divinity that we need to come into union, because we've been living in this not in this humanity, but in this way of thinking that humanity needs to be, very exploitative, very goal or action oriented, very very like very based in this 3D material, right? I need to go to school, I need to get a car, I need to buy a house, I need to get married, I need to have children. Like this very autopilot way of thinking and way of applying things. And we've learned this through education, culture, traditions, religion, our parents' education. So it's been things that has been passed on to us from generations, again, being in that era of bondage. But now that we are leaving that era and we're stepping in this in this era of more equilibrium, of balance between the two and union between the two, it requires us to look at ourselves, because the change will not be televised, right? The change will not be from the external. It is something that is going to be coming from within. And that is why I say right now we see a lot of things that are pushing for war, but we need to reduce the distractions and start going within, because the real war is happening within ourselves. If we can't recognize that, it's gonna be painful. If we can't recognize that we've been living in separation from ourselves, we've been living in this way of thinking, these ways of doing, these ways of believing that life is supposed to be a certain way, when it's an illusion. It was an illusion. We've been lied to. Like, when we can come to that awareness, we can start bringing back onto ourselves this sacred union within ourselves first, and then the change will be seen on the external, in our external environment. But how do we start doing that? That's basically the video that I want to touch upon. So how do we get to this sense of union? Because it could be different for every individual. Like, I'm just gonna lay down the foundation, but however it is expressed in your individuality, in your reality, in your experience of life, take just what resonates with you and then leave the rest, right? Because my truth can be my truth, and then it can be someone else's or not, and that's totally fine, because we're not here to fit a model. Okay, this is absolutely, and once that we start stepping out of that era and stepping into our own individual power, our own authority, we get to become our unique selves. And the more unique we become, the less of the norm we strive to be, or we strive to become, because we've accepted that we are unique. We have our own gifts, we have our own talents, we have our own I don't want to say flaws, but people, whatever, like, your individuality will not match another. And you need to come to that space of understanding about yourself. Like, we need to step out of that space of this norm, or this normality of being, and of comparing one another, and being so stuck in this 3D reality where we match our material, we match our status, we compare how economically advanced you are, which class you come from, what religion you are. Like, we need to start stepping away from these beliefs, because they've been hindering us for quite some time. So as we step into this era of union, right, first of all, it starts by recognizing why do I believe in the things I believe? Okay, why do I hold on to the things I believe in? Okay, and that can be a variety of things. Okay, but you need to start asking yourself those questions, because as we are stepping away from that era of bondage, a lot of people are going through changes. A lot of things in this external world is just clashing. It's just coming down. Like, it's just disappearing. It's being destroyed, because we're stepping into this new era. And so everything needs to be rebirthed. Everything needs to be reconstructed. Everything needs to be created, but from this space of balance first within yourself, and then it's going to externalize as well. So how do we do this? First, we need to address, like if you're in a space of despair, know that you're not alone. Know that a lot of people are going through this as well, and know that it's valid. Whatever you're going through is valid. You are seen, you are loved. And then you need to start taking time within yourself, like taking time for yourself, and care for yourself, however that looks like in your life. Just do that. And also go into nature. I strongly believe that nature, the earth element, is the only is one of the real true element that stood the how do I say this, like is there, is not going anywhere. Nature is here, whether it's the waters, the bodies of water, whether it's the trees, whether it's the earth. So that's where you can go back to the original mother and try to replenish, try to detox, try to reflect, try to do some introspection. That's where you can start, and then question yourself, why am I resisting the changes? Why am I resisting, why is it so hard for me to resist? Like, why is it so hard for me to let go, right? Because again, we've been programmed to think a certain way. Like, there's no time for rest. You need to go after money, material things. You need to, to work a certain way. You need to have a certain mindset. You need to live a certain way in this 3D reality. But that's, again, it's an illusion that's been implanted in our even in our genes. Like, it's been implanted, and so it's been passed down from our foremothers and forefathers. But now we're really stepping out of that. And so we're stepping into the space of creating something new, having different visions, having different perspective of how life should be lived, right? How countries should be ruled, how resources should be used for the benefit, or in a sustainable way. How can we get to that space where we're no longer living in this toxic masculinity, because we have healed, we have done the work, we come into union with our femininity or our feminine essence, and then we recognize that all things are sacred, whether it's the land, whether it's another human being, whether it's your house, whether, like, everything is sacred in your environment. And then when you recognize that, and that you're grateful for it, then you can start having a different perspective as how you want to live for the rest of your life. And that's why we're all here on this earth. Like, we're still here. If you're watching my video, you're still here. This means that there is something that can be done on your end to make that change happen. Now, because again, we've been living, like, that has been this collective consciousness that has been ongoing through that era of bondage, where we were living in this toxic masculinity. Even women were living in this space of this toxic masculinity, because again, we've been programmed to believe that the feminine essence is wrong, is bad, is perceived a certain way, is stigmatized, is demonized, all these things, right? But people that have been curious about nature, people that have believed in certain beliefs, like the unseen, right? People that have dived into the world of the occult, or people that have trusted or had this strong sense of intuition, were reconnected with their divine essence, right? Because again, the divine feminine is everything that is hidden, is everything that is pleasurable, is everything that is beautiful, is everything that is art. Like, it's everything. It's creation, and all types of creation. So when we look at the divine or the feminine essence through that lens, we can recognize that we all have it within us. But because we've been told through culture, through society, or through our religions, or through whatever have you, education, we've been told that is Satan, or is wrong. Don't do that. Or, if you want to explore a certain pleasure, you can't do it. If you want to do certain things, or if you find that you have a strong sixth sense, or you're strongly intuitive, or you make like you have, like you see things in your dreams that actually eventually end up happening, you can't really talk about it, because again, you're going to be perceived as a witch, or as a warlock, or whatever have you. But we're stepping out of, again, because we are getting back into our union, our whole selves. We are learning to appreciate, and all of us, each and every one of us have that within us. But we need to let go of the false belief, let go that we are only here to be living in autopilot. Let go of, if you are intuitive, that means you're a witch. Let go of, but, if you like to masturbate in your house, in your home, in your bedroom, that means that, you're dirty. Or, let go of, why you're so giddy, why you're so giddy up, like why you're so like why do you dive so much into your inner child, like you're so immature. But again, if we start going back into what is pleasure, what is pleasurable, we can start seeing that the divine essence has been totally erased from our ways of living, our way of conducting ourselves. We've been living in this very restrictive way, and we've always wanted to be seen as normal. If you do certain things, then you're perceived as not normal, and then I don't want to be perceived, or I don't want to be seen with you, so I'm gonna take up some distance from you. Or if you do some tarot, then I'm gonna judge you because you're playing with demon, you're playing with the devil, or whatever have you. But again, if we come back to that notion that we've been living in separation between our feminine essence and our masculine essence, we will recognize that in what the feminine essence is the unseen, is the energies behind everything that is happening, is how we live our lives, is how we tap into our intuition, is how we can be very creative. It's how we, it's the arts, it's everything, right? But we've been led to believe we've been led to believe that when we are living in our masculine essence to a very, very strong degree, then we can create this external world. But that is totally not true. It's only when we recognize our feminine essence, right? Because that is within us. That is connected to every world, to every dimension. It's only when we recognize and we start tapping into it, however it feels right for you, then you can start you can start exploring your internal world and then accepting it as a gift. And then you can start creating with your gifts, but on a 3D level. So on this human level, on this earthly plane. But it has to start from within. Okay, we've been living in this inside out type of, or upside down type of life, right? We've been led to believe that we need to live in our masculine essence in order to create what we want to see in this world, to get things done. And to some degree, it is true. But we've been having this missing piece, that is the feminine essence that dwells within us all, that we need to recognize that she is the compass. She will lead you to where you need to go. And then the masculine will act. And so that's why, a lot of people are stepping in their own individual leadership, their own intuitive way of doing things. And that is why, you see me. I'm here, I'm here sitting and sending y'all this message because I feel like it needs to be heard. But everybody has their own way of expressing that. And some will share, some won't. But we are coming into, we are in these times of change. And if we don't want to go through that change, unfortunately, we're going to be left out. Plain and simple. We're going to be left out of what can be done, the type of world we want to create for ourselves and our future generations. So why is pleasure so important in this process? One is because people are carrying a lot of heavy loads, a lot of burdens, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things that they don't want to do, but because they've been programmed to believe that they have to do, or they have to believe in a certain way, or have these beliefs, or have, a certain faith, or, connect to God to a certain way. All these things been implanted in people's minds, where they are conducting themselves in a certain way. So they are totally blocked. Yeah, blocked is a word. But when we start peeling those layers of illusions and false beliefs that were implanted in our mind, and when we start questioning them and getting to the core of what it really meant, or how did we carry so much burdens and responsibilities and false beliefs for so long, starting with our foremothers and forefathers, like why, and then we start addressing, the actions or the realities or the experiences that we went through. And a lot of them stems from childhood. A lot of people carry as well traumas. Some do talk about it, some don't talk about it. But again, we need to start peeling those layers. We need to start get rid of the wounding, get rid of the pain of having to carry a responsibility that is not yours. We need to get rid of the pain of thinking a certain way that just hinders you from being your authentic self, and we need to do those things in order to get back to our innocence, to our inner child that always was innocent. And when we get to that place, we can start enjoying life. We can start living a more pleasurable life. Life becomes much more pleasurable for us in the simple things, whether it is drinking water, or whether it is having to go outside or walk in the woods, or be with your children, or prepare a meal, or just take some time for yourself, or share that moment with someone else. So when I talk about pleasure, it's not just an activity that you do that it can be pleasurable. Yes, it is. Part of it is. But then when we start talking about living a pleasurable life, is when you actually step into your feminine essence and allow your intuition, or that compass within yourself, to lead the way for you. You're no longer living in this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta be on autopilot, I can't do this because of this. Or no, you start really, you really start easing into your body, easing into your soul, and you allow yourself to be led. And when you start doing that, then you start to recognize that pleasure is almost everywhere, in every moment. Even if sometimes the experiences are, will bring some sort of emotions, but it can still be seen as pleasurable. And so that's why I feel like, the Pleasure Principle series is important for me to dive in and spend time explaining, because we've been living in this space of pain. We've been living in this space of hurt. We've been carrying so much load of traditions and things and ways of doing, and then responsibilities that we did not want to carry, that was put onto us as children. And then when we grow up, we continue to carry those beliefs and ways of doing and traditions and religions that are not serving a purpose at our very core. Some will say yes, some will debate it, and that's fine. I'm not here to debate you. I'm just here to spread the message. So it's really important that we start looking at the places in ourselves, in our lives, that, that have been hurting, or the things that have been, making us feel uncomfortable. Like, here's an anecdote, okay? I remember when I told my dad, I was living with my dad, and I was about 15, 16. I went up to him and I said, Dad, I'm no longer Muslim. Like, I know a lot of people, in the Islamic faith, when you say that to your parents, they automatically reject you. They put you aside, you exile. You're no longer seen as human anymore, right? Because again, it's a big perjury. It's the biggest sin to relinquish your religion. So when I told that to my dad, he was like, what? And then I told that the same thing to my mom, and they didn't believe it. But I was true. I was true to myself, to my soul. My soul did not agree with Islam. Did not agree with the ways of conducting oneself in Islam. And I'm not here to bash on the religion. I feel like it's a great religion. There's a lot of good morals and value in it. But it did not correspond with what my soul was telling me to be in this life. It did not correspond. And so I felt like it was hindering me more than me feeling liberated in that faith. I felt more caged in that faith than feeling liberated. And I feel like if you are going to be in a certain faith or conduct your life in a certain way, you need to feel that liberation. You need to feel that your soul is expanding and that your soul is in alignment with that faith. And if it's not, then you're lying. You're lying to your own self. And it's just a matter of time that you're going to start doing things, doing hidden things while you're not supposed to do because it goes against your faith, but you're still going to do them because it feels good to you. So this is what I'm saying. This is the type of attachments we need to start to look at, the things that we've went into contract with, that we've bonded with. If you're in a marriage and it's been 20 years and the person that you're with does not make you feel liberated, why are y'all sharing energy? Why are y'all, so we need to start asking questions. Why are we still holding on to the things that we are holding on that do not bring us this sense of liberation and joy and pleasure? Because when we do that, then we can start recognizing the various other attachments that we've been holding on to. The way that we go after our finances, the way that we handle our finances, the way that we are with our children, if we have, the way that we use our resources. How do we use our resources in our everyday? And then when we can come to that awareness, then we can start taking steps into changing, into changes. And when we do that, we start relying not on what everybody's gonna say, because if you are in that process, you probably not necessarily is gonna want to go to your parents to talk to them about this, because they're probably gonna want to reinforce their education or the education that they've given you, right? You probably don't want to go against your friends, because again, It's not about seeking validation from the external on this journey, towards your union within yourself. It's about diving within and listening to what is being told to you, to listening to what your heart is saying, to listening to your intuition, however it expresses itself in your life. It can be various things. It can be synchronicities, it can be a dream, it can be seeing things, it can be hearing things, it can be feeling things, it can be your heart, it can be how your body responds, it can be a variety of things. And so we need to start opening up ourselves to that type of support, because it exists. It's not always seen or perceived with our two eyes, but it exists. Our support out there exists. And when you recognize that you having to find your feminine essence and accept it, you will realize that you find much more pleasure into relying on this unseen support than the one on the external, because a lot of things are just gonna fall out. When you start accepting that, you're gonna see who's really there for you and who's not. Like who's on your vibe, who's matching your energy levels, and who's not. And that's just gonna pave the way for the direction that you need to go in. Okay, guys. So I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you found, some valuable things in it. And this is the Infinity Midwife. The reason why, I'm not vibing low. I'm just weaving myself out of that 7-day water fast that I was in. And so, I'm weaving my way back into eating. So I'm eating certain things in order for me to get back into eating. So it is so I'm just, taking my time for myself. And that's why I haven't been posting this week, because it's a very personal journey. And yes, I do share it with you on social media. But again, there are a lot of things that I don't share because I feel like it's a personal journey. I'm just there to inspire. Maybe you might want to explore having a 24-hour water fast or 48 hours or whatever have you. And it's just about, again, when we talk about purging, releasing, letting go. And for me, one of the things that I had to let go of, and that's why one of the reasons why I did that 7-day water fast, was to release the need of control, the need of having the answer or seeing the result. That's again living in your masculine essence that is very goal oriented. But when you start leaning back and stepping into your feminine essence, you're more trusting of what life has for you and how your intuition will help you lead the way, right? So that was just my take. All right, guys, this is the Infinity Midwife exiting the scene. Peace.